Hello, everyone. It's another day of Workforce Wednesday. Today, we're gonna have the special guest, Dr. Winka Clec'H. She's a staff scientist with the Texas Biomedical Research Institute. Before we jump in our conversation, as always, I would like to share with you some, the housekeeping items and then reminders, of course. If you're gonna be joining on later on, please just, mute yourself. So that is very important for us to have a clean conversation. Sometimes the background noise is disrupting, the conversation and the quality of the video. So also, like as always, we to share this. We're gonna be sharing this recording on our MACE YouTube channel within hopefully 24 hours. And if you have any questions, this is also the streaming on the Facebook. You can ask your questions to the Facebook page as well. And then Winka will be happy to answer your questions. So let me just go ahead and then stop this and then we can start. We are very, very happy to have you today, Winka, with us. And then I'm very excited, to ask you several questions to learn about yourself and your background. I know that from your bio, you have your PhD in France, but we want to know more about your education and professional background.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Yasia, for the invitation. So I'm very pleased to be here today to share with you a bit of my background and my research. So as you can hear, I'm not from US, I'm not from San Antonio, I'm French. So I did all my education in France. So started with, at the end of high school, I get my baccalaureate and then enter at the university in Bachelor in Science. So I was always interested by biology. And I did a dual bachelor in biology and geology, because I was also very interested about all this geology, paleontology. And then after that, after my bachelor in science, I was really interested by evolutionary biology. So I decided to do a master in science in evolutionary biology and molecular biology. And after 2 years of master's, so in France, it's really 3 years of bachelor, 2 years of master's, I decided to pursue in grad school. So I started my PhD in France in 2009. And my PhD project was basically to study the interaction between a bacteria, which is called Wolbachia. And this bacteria infects not humans, they infect insects and some terrestrial crustaceans. And that's why the model of my PhD thesis, the interaction between this Wolbachia bacteria and pill bugs. Yeah, the pill bugs, the roly-poly you can have in your garden. And what is fascinating with this bacteria and this roly-poly, this bacteria feminize the genetic males. So genetically, the pill bugs, the roly-poly are males, but because they're infected with this bacteria, they function as a female. And to a point of view of the bacteria, that's very nice because the bacteria is transmitted by the mother to the offspring via the ovocytes, via the embryos then. And to increase the number of bacteria in a population, that's better for the bacteria to maximize the number of female roly-poly in the population, keep a small number of males because they need to mate and to reproduce to then after that transmit the bacteria. And there is also some evolutionary consequences of this, the presence of this bacteria in this population. So this feminization, there is also some incompatibilities of mating. And also because this bacteria evolved with this host, they can live together. But when you transfer this bacteria to another species of roly-poly, not co-adapted with this bacteria, then after that, it's a drama, it's a big drama. And the roly-poly finally died very quickly because just the immune system of this roly-poly didn't recognize the bacteria and fight And finally, this fighting killed the bacteria, but also the host. So this was basically all this, all my studies in France, and it was very interesting, this host-parasite interactions. But I really wanted to continue this host interaction studies, but this time trying to find a model where, I mean, how I can explain that? Roly-poly and Volbach, it's cool, but it's also better to have an impact on human health. And I really wanted to work on a host-parasite interaction, but in that case, that is an impact on the human health. And it's the model I'm working at Texas Biomed. It's a schistosome parasite, which infects humans and cause more than 200,000 deaths per year, mainly in tropical areas, and the host. And it's a complex life cycle involving a snail, involving mammals. So really wanted to study a model where I can have an impact on the human health.
Awesome. I'm sure that our biology students will understand every single, the point you're talking about.
Yeah.
For me, it's like a little bit, like exciting to learn about it, but, don't know much about it. But I can see that passion you have about, the research definitely. Winka, our story is somehow similar, but the different this way is because I'm from Turkey, and then I had my bachelor's in Turkey, but to get better education is because the US is offered the best in counseling. That is my field. So I, made that crazy decision to, move to US to get my master's and PhD. On the other hand, you are from France, you was born and raised there, you were born and raised out there, and then you had your education, again, the bachelor's, the master's, the PhD, everything there. How did it happen that from France, you ended up here in San Antonio, Texas Biomedical? Could you please tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, sure. So really for young French scientists, the goal after the PhD is really to do a postdoc abroad, and ideally in an English-speaking country. And I mean, the best is to go to the US. So I think also it's important to go abroad and be confronted with another language, which is not our language, and other cultures. And during my PhD, we had a colleague that was just employed, young researcher, that did her PhD in that case in the schistosome, the human blood fluke parasite, and I was fascinated by this model. And basically, I mean, when I saw that, I mean, in Texas Biomed, there is my boss, Dr. Tim Anderson, was working on malaria mainly at this time, and also developing the schistosome research and all the genetic and genomics around this schistosome parasite. I really want to join this group because there is more money in the US for research, clearly, compared to France. And during my PhD, I really studied the phenotypic part, what you can see, what you can dissect a bit with molecular biology. But if you want to pursue that and develop all the genomic transcriptomics, so the impact of how the genes act on a phenotype, you need more money. And at Texas Biomed, I found this, I mean, everything is real, everything is here to perform very, very good research. And so I contacted Tim Anderson at the end of my PhD, so it was summer 2012, and I defended my PhD thesis in December 2012, so I was not graduated yet. And I sent him a resume and a research statement. And yeah, I mean, I was just say, well, can we discuss and can we develop things? And And it was very exciting with my background, with the evolutionary biology background, and really wanted to develop that because there is an evolutionary biologist and geneticist who wanted to develop this aspect in the study of schistosome parasite, not only the biomedical aspect, but all this evolutionary aspect and genetics around this model. So, I mean, we discussed, was excited, me too, and we decided to wrote a project together to get some fundings for me to come as a postdoc. So we're lucky at Texas Biomed to have a lot of internal grants that allow a young researcher from abroad to come for 2 years. And so we wrote this project. It was a bit crazy because I was, you know, in the middle of writing my thesis. I have to prepare my defense and writing this project during this time. So it helped me a lot, of course, because yeah, and in English is not my my language, maternal language. So we wrote a lot of things, and finally we got we got the fellowship. So I was very happy, and we submitted the project in January 2013, and then we had the result in February 2013, and then after that it was visa things, paperwork, and I arrived in San Antonio and started working at Texas Biomed on the 21st of March 2013. And since then I'm here. So, and I was first hired as a postdoc, and now, I'm a staff scientist.
Awesome. That's an amazing success story. Before we deep dive in more regarding your role, of course, you know, some projects you're working on, I would like to also ask you at this point, so you even remember the date you started working, you said that
yeah.
March 21st, 2013. So it's been like 7 years. What's your future career plans?
So for now, I still have a lot to learn from my boss, especially with grant fundings. And the good thing is, as a staff scientist and a foreigner, I can apply to NIH grants. So it's the National Institute of Health that finance a lot of our grants. I can apply on this for these grants. And staff scientist, it's an indefinite term, indefinite time position at Texas Biomed. So, my goal is to, I'm staff scientist 1, then after that, being staff scientist 2, 3, and maybe at some point have my own lab. But I still have a lot to learn from my boss. And for now, we're running basically the schistosome lab. So we have one technician that work with us, and yeah, that's I think it's working well now. And in the future, yeah, I hope to have my own lab, but it's also a lot of work to have your own lab, your own be the boss, in fact. So I'm a little boss. I'm not ready to be the big boss now.
But one day soon, hopefully,
yes.
Sooner than later. So regarding the credentials, you explained that you had your bachelor's in biology, the master's, your PhD in evolutionary biology, and also you had, the postdoc, the fellowship, you worked so hard with the grant, the funding and everything. But of course, to be successful in your role at Texas Biomed, you have to have some key skills. Could you please share some of those key skills with our students? Also, through the process in that, the 7 years, how will you develop those skills?
So you really need to be passionate first. If you like what you are doing, you will succeed. You really, it's the first key. The first key is being passionate, wanted to answer questions. you always have, questions that pop up in your mind. And then after that, I would like to answer this question. What tools can I have to answer these questions? Then after that, there is also, you need to be humble. And because science, it's never one person, it's a teamwork. And this is very, very important to know how to work with your colleagues, with other people from different cultures, from different backgrounds. So, and you need to adapt to that. And I think it's important, not only in science, but I mean, in the society, and we are social animals. So yeah, need to be nice, need to understand and hear also people, listen to the people. And this is very, very important. Also, participate. I mean, outreach, I was very pleased to participate to the outreach. At the beginning, it's stressful because, you talk in front of people and especially because I'm not native speaker, sometimes at the beginning say, oh my gosh, if I don't understand the questions. And in fact, you realize that this is not important because people, I mean, if you don't understand the question first, people will ask again. And it's also like that. You are better speaker and you present better what you are doing. So participation, also be involved in the life of your institute. I found that very important. Not only doing your real research siloed, and it's very, very important to be open to the other. It's a bit with, I mean, it's going with a teamwork. So I also at Texas Biomed run the journal club. Texas Biomed also, it's helped me, all of that, helped me to, because I'm a kind of shy person, but I think at Texas Biomed with all these possibilities, I started to wanted to be involved in other things than science, or not directly science. So, and then after that, yeah, you need to work hard in science, because it's very competitive. Some fields are more competitive than the other, but it's quite competitive for grants funding. So and you need also to don't be discouraged if you have an experiment that failed, if you fail to publish the manuscript in the journal you wanted, if you fail to get the funding of your grants, in that case, it can be discouraging at some point, but you need to say, well, okay, I failed here, but a failure is never a failure. You need to learn from that and be better, be more clear in your grounds, in your manuscript, explain better. I think this is very important, because science, it's quite hard. It can be difficult, but if you are passionate, really, this is really the key. Being, continuing things, and
Awesome. No, Winka, really great tips. But regarding being shy, I would like to point that out. And I believe that you're a great example, is because you say that you are shy, but you highlighted the importance of, for instance, outreach and then chasing the passion. When we look at your, the success story, you love what you do. And then again, you are from France, all your education, your life is there, but you move all the, the other, the country, all the way the other side of the planet, to chase your passion. Recently, our students talking about, being introvert, being shy very often, but there's no really the correlation between being shy and then not chasing your dream, for instance, because like your case, outreaching and asking, even like creating your own path, writing, for fellowship, the funding, the grants and everything. So that's an amazing story. So I just want to highlight that.
Yeah.
Awesome. My next question is about the projects. I know that you already talked a little bit about the projects, and as your staff scientist, I'm sure that there are several ongoing projects you're working on.
Oh, yeah.
But so far, which one is your favorite and why?
So I have two projects. I mean, I'm involved in several projects, and most of them are related to discovering the genetic basis of a trait. A trait is basically a phenotype, what you can see in the parasite. I mean, behavior, reaction to a drug, be able to multiply more than the other. And what I would like to understand is what in their genome, their DNA, what genes are controlling that. And why? It's because if you understand more and more what's happened inside this black box, then after that, because it's a parasite that, killed people, you can also discover new therapeutic targets by knowing more the basic biology of your organism. So I have two projects that I really liked. One is based on the discovering the genetic basis of praziquantel resistance in schistosoma parasite. So praziquantel is the only drug available and approved by the FDA to treat schistosomiasis. And you imagine that you have, more than 200,000 deaths per year in tropical area, 200 million people infected, and more at risk
Let me
to
go
develop
back
this
to the
parasite.
case.
Sorry?
I believe accidentally one of our students.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Winka.
So, and you have only one drug. So, nowadays, and thanks to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, there is a massive distribution of this drug, and especially in Africa. But if you imagine you have only one drug to treat this parasite, and by treating with only one drug, we don't know how this drug acts. You also increase drastically the risk of resistance in this parasite to this drug. And if you have resistant parasite that spread in the population of this parasite, then after that, if it's resistant to this drug, you have no other drug to treat people. So this project was to discover the genetic basis of praziquantel resistance. So and help us to understand how this drug acts in this parasite. So this is a project I really like, the project that we are developing with colleagues, with my Fred Chevalier, my colleagues in and also partner in life, working in the same lab. It's the impact of the microbiome on schistosome infection. So we know now that microbiome, it's in all organisms. It's never one organism. It's one organism plus its microbiome. And we would like to understand how the microbiome of the snail, which is the intermediate host and essential to the transmission of the parasite, can play a role in the development of this parasite. And also maybe in the mammals, how the microbiome works, how the microbiome influences the development of the parasite, and how the parasite influences microbiome. This is a very cool project, and I'm really proud of be a part of the team that work on this project.
Awesome. Most of the time, it's not a question, but out of curiosity, most of the time after you working on these, the projects and experiment and everything, the main purpose is like publishing those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the main purpose is publishing, because publishing your work is very important to, show other people that, you find interesting things and you need to share. It's sharing with the community. And also it's important to for the future fundings, because if you apply for a grant, you need to convince people that your idea is a good idea. Ideally the best idea. It's very competitive, so you need to sell these ideas. And the best way to sell an idea is to say, yeah, I have this idea, I have preliminary data, or I have this paper to support what I would like to develop in the future, and I can do it. Because I published this manuscript, I published this paper, and I'm qualified. You can trust me, and I can do this project. So publishing is a key, and it's now and more we are pushed to publish more and more and more, which has some downside, because you can find because of this pressure on scientists, some papers that maybe are not that great, or maybe needed a bit more experiment to be more convincing. But so we try to do our best and publish the best paper we can in our group, and publishing is a key.
Okay, awesome. I believe that, our students want to know that, so I was curious about that as well. My next question is about really the challenge. With COVID-19, any sectors, every sector is impacted by, the crazy, the times. But what are some challenges, or I will say / the learning moments you experienced since February, March to the now?
So it's a challenging period. We need to be careful that we protect each other, and that's why at home, because the policy of Texas Biomed is, if you can work from home, stay at home. And as I'm mainly involved in data analysis, I used to be in the lab, but now as a staff scientist, I'm more involved in the data analysis, manuscript writings, grant writings. It's important, if you can stay at home, to stay at home. I go in the lab usually 1 or 2 days per week to help our PhD students that start on their project, so they need some help. Then after that, it's for us, maintaining this distance if we can, and be sure that we wear a mask, wash your hands. It's important, because we can't have people all the team that are sick, because as we are maintaining the schistosome life cycle, we need to have people that take care of the animals and take care of the infections of the animals. So we can't be all at home. So that's why we have some, rotations, and we're lucky to have very good as a research assistant in the lab helping on that. So I'm not directly working on, on COVID-19, but in my group, and my boss is also helping some teams at Texas Biomed, because a lot of teams at Texas Biomed are working on COVID-19, and helping them on all the genomic aspect of the analysis, statistical analysis, and that. So I really hope we'll find soon a vaccine, and we'll be back on campus. So it's sometimes a bit hard to don't see colleagues and don't share, because it's always important to share with other peoples, and that not only people that work on your research topic, but also other colleagues. So I don't know if I answer well the questions, but it's
Yes, you did. But could you please also, is because earlier you said that, the teamwork and collaboration is really important, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a one person work. With the COVID, since, all of you cannot be at, in office all the time, what was some maybe the strategies you implemented again to work? I don't know, is there Zoom you did?
Yeah, it's Zoom. Zoom meetings, and also Slack. It's a bit, advertising for a company, but it's we started to communicate a lot with Slack, and develop Slack channels with one channel per project, and like that. We are in constant communication with our PhD students, we are our research assistants, the other staff scientists, our boss, Tim Anderson. So communicating, sorry, is really the key of maintaining things ongoing, maintaining research, continuing experiments. This is very important to, just continue our research and continue our progress and be able to write papers and submit grants. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. My next question is about really advice you will be giving if you had a chance to go back to your college years. What advice, or the most important advice, will be you will give to your undergraduate you?
So if I was able to return in my college years, I think one thing very important, and can be boring for biologists, is never underestimate the power of the statistics. If you have good statistical classes, bioinformatics, go there. Go. It can be difficult at the beginning. It's challenging, but it's very, very important for any scientist and biologist, because having good statistical skills is very important to be able to analyze your data. Bioinformatics, now it's crucial when you have big data, and more the science is that it's having big data sets that you can't analyze if you don't know how to talk to your computer, basically. And this is very important. So yeah, if you have a chance to have that, go there. Yeah, then after that, that's ready. And follow your patient. Yeah, it's really that. If you like things, follow your patient.
Awesome. I really like the way you said, the statistics, but also bioinformatics, is because I believe the last, the 5+ years, there are really great, the career options. People with the background is because they're working with the big data, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be asking, the follow-up question regarding that. Again, your decision to move to US happened after your education, but if you go back to time, will you tell Winka yourself, but during your bachelor's, right? Hey, Winka, go maybe another country or US to get your master's and PhD? Why will you?
Well,
why wouldn't?
I wouldn't say that, because one very good thing we have in France for now, it's education. It's pretty free in France, which is not the case in US. And I was lucky to have no debt, no student loan, so which is huge. And when I talk with some colleagues that are continuously paying their student loans, can be difficult. So yeah, and I don't know what exactly, what is the education in the US, because I didn't experience that, but we have a good educational system in France for now, and we need, it's very important to continue to have, I think, this very low fees universities, because like that, you don't, everyone can go there. And if you have a patient, you can follow your dreams. You are not limited by the money, which I found some things is very not just, or it's not fair. And so yeah, I really like the program in the masters and PhD. So no, I will not say that. And you need to be also mature to go in another country. I was not, clearly not enough, because it's difficult when you arrive in a country and you speak a bit, but finally you realize that no, you don't speak enough to understand, all the, just talking to people. It's not understanding a scientific paper that you can read and read again and go to Google Translate, and no, it's real life. So you need to be prepared on that. And for some it's okay. I was not in masters and PhD in grad school.
There are several countries, like you said, in Europe, even including my country, Turkey, the education is free, right? And
yeah,
there are like great universities, they offer, the amazing education. Of course, like our job is here, not, the telling the students, hey, don't pay, the tuition, go to Europe. Really study abroad is like very vital for people's, the future career. I can tell you that for myself, if I stay, I wouldn't think that I will be getting the same quality of education. And then even maybe regarding, the career options, I wouldn't have the options that right now I can find here in US. So we have some students. I work with the College of Education, but also I keep hearing from the students in arts and science, like biology students, and then College of Business, the business administration, management, supply chain, and then they, hey, I want to go to Europe. I want to go, this country. So maybe after listening to you, at least they can, they get better idea to importance of, maybe education and then study abroad.
Yeah. France are very good educational system, very good university. So it's just, for the after, there is not a lot of money for research, and the position you are, you basically, when you get a position as assistant professor, you are a kind of functionary, so you are paid, your salary is paid by the government, but if you don't have any money to do your research, it's a bit sad. So here we have the chance to be able to apply to some, bigger grants more often than we can do in France. So and I like San Antonio. People are very nice here. French people can be a bit rude sometimes, and here, I found people very friendly, very, the weather is nice too, a bit hot in summer, but yeah.
Awesome. I have one final question, and then we can go ahead and then maybe look at some students' questions. We already started getting some, but my last question, really for our students, they want to maybe deep dive into the learning more about the field you are in and even the position you have. What are some resources you can share with them? We already talked about it, and then you're going to be sharing with me the PowerPoint. I'm going to be sharing with them later on. But any other resources you can share with them?
If they are interested, they can also go to the Texas Biomed website. There is always some, job opportunities posted on the website. There is also, they can look at the different scientists, because we have a scientist page, and if they're interested by some research topic, they can contact directly the lead scientist, and if they want to, develop some project or start a rotation, or with them, that's the best, going to the website. And yeah, so my PowerPoint is more, explaining what I did and what I'm doing at Texas Biomed. But really the best is just don't be shy, and go on the website, look at the scientific profiles of the different people, and contact people. Yeah, really.
So literally do your research and network with people, right people?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the best, and people look like that. When you have a student that contact them and say, well, I'm very interested about your research topic, and I would like to maybe training. And we have at Texas Biomed, we have a summer internship. So this summer was a bit disturbed, of course, because of the COVID-19 crisis. But yeah, we have this summer internship. So I hope maybe next year, so 2021, yeah, students can apply for this summer internship, and it's something like starting in mid-June and ending beginning of August. So like that, they can be in the lab, participate to some research, and you'll really be immersed in the in a lab, in a team, in a scientific team, and see a bit. So yeah, and all this information can be found on the Texas Biomed website. So really encourage people to contact, people on the, outreach team, summer internship programs. So yeah.
Awesome. Clec'H already shared, your website on the chat box, but also we're gonna make sure to add the website on the YouTube, channel as well. So Angela Martinez asked a question. The first, actually, to share a little bit about her passion. She says that I'm really passionate about just being in a lab, doing the hands-on work. What will be the ratio of lab work to desk work, like writing grants, data entry, analysis? And she said, is there more lab work or more desk work, or about the same?
So when you are PhD student, of course, you have to do your own experiment and then analyze your data and wrote your manuscript. So I would say probably when you're a PhD student, 70% of your time in the lab, 30% at your desk. Then after that, more you grow in your career, less time you spend in the lab. So when you are the big boss of the team, your goal is to sell your project. And selling your project is mainly analyzing the data that your team, either research assistants, PhD students, postdoc, are producing, and you basically sell these ideas and find new fundings to continue this research. If you really want to be only in the lab, the best is to be, research assistant. In that case, you will be in the lab. You can also have the possibility to analyze your own data, and it's always good to have some research assistants that analyze some of the data and present, a summary of this, even if it's a, first analysis to your PI. But yeah, more and more you grow, less time you spend in the lab.
Awesome, thank you. And again, yeah, Angela also is thanking you, Winka. But out of the curiosity as well, so to be in the lab and then working in the projects, let's say to join somehow one of your projects you're working on, any students, they are maybe doing their bachelor's or master's, not necessarily they are PhD students, they can still involve in projects happening in your institution?
Yeah, then after that, it's depending of the job opportunity. If we are recruiting at the research assistant level, it's perfect for a bachelor or a master student, even without any experience in the lab. So our first research assistant, we hired him just after he graduated from master, and is doing a wonderful job. So it's with us since 3 years now, and it's perfect. So yeah, I think the summer internship is a very good first foot in the research program, and we have some teams that hire people hire research assistants, especially with the COVID-19 now. There is a lot of research assistants that are needed. So yeah, I mean, they can be part of projects if they are patient, and if we think that, yeah, it will be a great opportunity to add one person on this research project.
Awesome. Thank you, Winka. It seems like we don't have any other questions, but Clarissa, do we have any questions or comments like you want to share with us, maybe from the Facebook channel? Anything?
No, we are clear from Facebook.
Okay, awesome. So I really appreciate for this success story, Winka, and then for sharing your wisdom with us. I always say, if I can do it, if you can do it, we are from other countries, right? Just made this country home and then being successful. I believe that our students also can do it. But like you highlighted several times, just be passionate, right?
Yeah.
On your networking, the outreach and everything. So I really enjoyed this conversation. Is there any, you know, the last advice or any other, I don't know, the comments you want to share with our students?
Well, you know, it's, yeah, follow your dreams. It's really, really that. And if you like things, you know, go do it, because you can do it, really.
You can. Yeah, I loved it. You can do it. Okay, before we just wrap it up, I'm gonna be sharing with our students a few more slides, if you don't mind, Winka.
Sure.
Okay, so the students, like, again, if you're attending this, you know, the session or having, you know, these videos on the view on YouTube, please just make sure you, you know, mark your attendance. You need to go to Jack Singh. Again, you can see the QR and then the bit.ly, the link on that, the YouTube video as well. And Workforce Wednesday, of course, like we have, I believe, 4 more, you know, the guests, but for the next Wednesday, no, actually, yeah, November 4th, we're gonna be having next Wednesday, Jeremy Garcia from H.D. He is the campus recruiter. So we are very excited for next Wednesday again. So stay tuned, but join us. And as always, the Main Center is trying their best to be very active and engaging with our students and then stakeholders, employer partners, right, on our social media. So please just follow us on, you can see that Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we have the LinkedIn, and also just stay tuned on YouTube to watch this recording if you didn't have a chance to join us today. But thank you, everyone. Again, Winka, thank you so much for your time and then joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.